Hi Fran, thanks for having me on. I suppose the first theory that came out about the Boston bombings, the marathon bombings in Boston, was that there was an exercise or drill running that morning concurrently that sort of replicated what really happened. And this was based on the testimony of a guy who was interviewed, a runner in the race called Ali Stevenson, and he said that he'd witnessed bomb-sniffing dogs and that he'd been told not to worry about this and that it was only an exercise. There was an announcement that there was an exercise. And a lot of people have kind of run away with this and taken it to mean things that Ali Stevenson didn't actually say. In particular, he was talking about this going on hours before the race, or at least hours before the bombings, and taking place at the athletes' village at the start of the race, not where the bombs happened at the end of the race. So I don't really find that theory particularly plausible. The next set of alternative explanations for what had gone on here focused around a series of guys who were photographed at the scene, both before and after the explosion, in the minutes before and the minutes after, who were wearing sort of black jackets and tan-coloured trousers. And one of these men was wearing a cap with a kind of skull logo on it. So people had been comparing this logo to those of other organisations, and it looks a bit similar to that of a mercenary firm called Kraft International. It also looks similar to the Navy SEAL Team 5 logo. It's since been realised and worked out and discovered that these men were likely, almost certainly, members of a civil support team, a weapons of mass destruction civil support team, who were there as presumably part of the huge security operation that was going on in Boston that day. You can even see photographs where they have the CST written on the back of their jackets, so it seems highly probable that that's what they were there for. And also the speculation that they were somehow part of a covert operation, that they were somehow there carrying out a US government false flag event. If there were covert operatives in the crowd, either handling the two guys who supposedly planted the bombs, or possibly even planting the bombs themselves, then they would have been disguised as ordinary people, just people there to watch the marathon. In the last couple of days we've had a different sort of theory presented to us, in that Debka have published an article alleging that these two Chechen brothers who supposedly carried out these bombings were actually double agents working for the US and Saudi intelligence as kind of penetration agents to infiltrate radical Islamic groups. Their story is that these two men went rogue for some reason and sort of betrayed their handlers and carried out a strike against the US. We've also seen on RT a few days ago an interview with the mother of these two men, and she's alleged that they were in fact being controlled by the FBI for several years prior to the bombings, because the Russians back in 2011 actually asked the FBI to investigate the older of these brothers, Tamerlan, and they did investigate him and they carried out an interview with him, but apparently found nothing. The US has been, and not just the US, but most of the NATO bloc has been using Islamic countries and Islamic groups and radical Islamism as a philosophy and as a militant activity against Russian interest and against Russian power for several decades now. So those are the sorts of different theories that are out there, but it's all kind of speculation at this stage, and we don't really know, and the only way to kind of get anywhere in this mire of misinformation and presumably disinformation as well is to just sort of press on investigating and keep looking for more information.